Hello world, this is John Pinto, your yet again disembodied voice, disembodied podcaster, video blogger, home chef, roving realtor, and I am here today with Jim Silver, who is running for Napa Valley School District. Is that correct?
Napa Valley Unified School District. Yep.
Very good. And Jim is in the wine business, and we are here at Inglenook drinking the 2012 Cabernet Sauvignon, the grand nephew of the 1941 100-point version of this that was in the case of the century.
Right.
And Jim, please impart your tasting notes on this wine before we get into talking about running into for elected office.
Yeah, no, I don't mind doing that. I haven't had this wine before. You said this is the 2012.
2012.
And I thought it was interesting you served it out of a half bottle, which is great. I like half bottles. But, you know, it also tends to make the wine evolve a little bit quicker. And in this case, it really doesn't show it. I don't love 2012 as a vintage. It wasn't a bad vintage. It's not my favorite. I like 15, 16.
I like 11, by the way.
No, 11's fine. I know
crazy.
A lot of people like 11.
Yeah.
I'm fine with 11, just like I'm fine with 2012. I think there's great wines to be made in both those vintages. This is a really nice wine, and this is interesting because, again, I haven't had it before, but it tastes exactly the way I thought it would taste.
Ah.
Yeah, no, it's got that traditional old world kind of character, old world feel to it, which is interesting because it's so Inglenook. I can't believe it.
Yeah. And you mentioned drinking it out of the demi, and I may be speaking out of school, but I've been a member here for 20 years, and I like to mix and match my deliveries. And I like to make sure I have a lot of demis, because if I come here in the afternoon with somebody like you, I just put a demi in my messenger bag, and you know it's usually enough for two people without going home impaired, and I don't have to worry about opening up a bottle and only getting a half or 2/3 through it.
No, it's true. It's true. It's nice to have a nice glass of wine.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Napa Unified School District. Which position are you running for?
So this is Napa Valley Unified School District. This is Area 1 Board of Trustees.
Good. And how many trustees are on that Board of Trustees?
Seven.
Okay, very good. And you're running against an incumbent?
The incumbent, her name is Robin. She has been on the board for 5 years.
Very good. Now, I'm sure you were thinking, I don't have enough to do being a father, a husband, and an entrepreneur. How can I fill up my idle days?
You're right. I was thinking that exact thing. I simply don't have enough to do. The position, I'm guessing, from what I know and from the people I've talked to, this is a position that takes about 24 hours a month of meetings with the other board members, X number of hours more of visiting sites and taking a look at different campuses and addressing certain issues that may come up during the course of the month. But I'm going to say that's about 100 hours a month of reading. And I feel if you're not reading the budget that's been put in front of you, if you're not reading the staff reports, you're not doing the job right. So, yeah, is it going to interfere with my life? Not really. I think it's going to be quite fulfilling.
Yeah. And what motivated you to run for the trustee position?
I came to Napa 5.5 years ago. I came to California before that, but I came to Napa 5.5 years ago, and all three of my children, 14, 12, and 8 years old, are in Napa Valley Unified School District and have been for most of that time. And I'm watching their education. I'm watching the evolution of their education, and in the beginning, I was satisfied, happy, love the teachers more than you can imagine, and I'm also watching it decline steadily, incrementally decline down in quality. That's really a big problem for me.
And as a lifelong entrepreneur, have you been a lifelong entrepreneur?
No, not really. I mean, I've had my own businesses. My wife and I started our own business, a winery business, and a while back, but no, really, I'm a serial businessman.
Okay.
No, I've been in the wine business for 33 years now.
Very good. And please enlighten the viewers on the skill set that you feel you will be bringing to the school district and how you might affect some positive change.
Well, if you ever watch the school board meet, it's 4 hours, 5 hours of a lot of discussion, a lot of talk, a lot of decision making. Staff reports are flying around. One of the things that I bring to the table is the business background I think is really important, but not just the business background in terms of finance, a balance sheet, a budget. I write budgets all the time. I try to follow a budget as best I can, but I think there's a sales aspect to the whole thing too, because in the last several years, the reputation of Napa Valley schools has declined so precipitously that I think there needs to be a sales effort made to promote Napa Valley, promote the schools, and in doing so, protecting our property values and our children's education and making a better existence for everyone involved in the education, students included, of course.
Right. So, let's see. The election, I guess, is November 8th, is it?
Yeah.
Very good. You know when the cutoff is for registration?
To voter registration, I think
Yeah.
that just happened. As a matter of fact, I know that the ballots are about to go out.
I got mine.
Did you already?
Yeah, my
I think-
wife and I will be reviewing them diligently. We usually take about 4 hours to go over them and fill out a sample ballot.
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact rules of the election, but I think it's the 10th officially you can begin voting.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
10th of October?
The 10th of October, 10th or 11th.
Oh, I better get on it. I get it.
For mail-in ballots.
If I were running for public office, Jim, I would put my candidate booth right next to the League of Women Voters. I would get a handful or multiple handfuls of voter registration packets, and I'd register voters because in the primaries, I was following Joel Gallagher and Suzanne Truchard's running for the County Board of Supervisors.
That's a hot race, yep.
Yeah, they both made it to the runoff. And I was surprised and somewhat appalled at how few ballots were cast.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a low turnout election. I think the people who do vote in this election, and whoever strikes or checks a box for the school board election, is really focused on school boards and maybe most likely has kids in the district. So
Right.
low turnout, but yeah, very impactful.
Okay, now what is your primary way of voters reaching out to you in case they want to register, they want to order a yard sign, they want to host a neighborhood meeting?
Well, I'm willing to do any of those things that you just mentioned, and I have been. As a matter of fact, I did another one Saturday, just the other day, and I was lucky enough to meet a bunch of the town council members and explain my position to them, and that was really eye-opening too. But I'm not really a politician. I'm just a person who lives here with 3 kids in the district.
With a vested interest in their education.
Yeah, and I think that's important too. I think it's one of the qualifying factors too, is that I have 3 children in the district, and I'm actively involved in their education. At least I try to be, and so is my wife, of course. And my opponent, the incumbent, has been in office for 5 years, but she put her children through private school.
That's not a good thing.
I mean, well, I think one of them may have spent some time in high school in one of the Nvusd high schools. But, I don't think that's a disqualifying factor, especially if somebody's willing to go out there and wants to help her community and do this sort of. But come on. It's, when we're talking about someone who's actually in the mix, who's actually living it every single day.
Yeah.
I think that makes a difference.
That does make a difference. As a matter of fact, I was watching the new show on TV, East New York, which is not in New York, it's in Brooklyn, just before the county line when you get into Queens near Howard Beach. And the police captain asked for volunteers for people to move into the projects in East New York. And I loved it. A little Irish girl said, "I'll do it." No, but you're right. I mean, being in the fray is very important. So let's make sure we direct our audience to the proper place. Number one, I noticed that you had a Facebook page. Is that
Yep.
Elect Jim Silver?
Elect Jim Silver. Yeah, it's on Facebook, and I put some of my opinions, my platform, and a few other things on there, including Wordle today, because that was pretty funny. I did well on it. I'm just kidding, but it's if my election was as easy as Wordle was today, then I wouldn't have to do so much work. But let me tell you, honestly, the yard signs, the getting my name out to the people has really been the biggest.
So on the
biggest
yard
factor.
signs, could you enlighten me on what the east, north, west, and south boundaries are of the jurisdiction in which you are running for trustee?
You're going to be shocked at how big Area 1 is, geographically speaking. It's the same size in population as the other districts. They tried to equalize, and they recently redrew the numbers there. But it goes all the way up to Lake Berryessa.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, all the way down to Wild Horse Valley.
Oh my goodness.
On the way out
okay.
of Napa.
Yeah.
West to Wine Country Avenue, up to Yountville.
That's a big district.
It's huge. It's huge. You could drive for an hour and not leave my area.
Wow.
And it's quite a lot of area to cover.
Well,
but yeah, but the population's the same as the other.
I think we could certainly make an impact in getting some yard signs installed. And I think neighborhood meetings are probably a good idea, don't you?
I'd be glad to. I think the only thing that I could do better is just get my name out there. I think there's enough people in Napa who are as concerned as I am about what's happening at the school district level, which I'd love to tell you about, and what the school board is doing and not doing, that caused me to run.
Right.
I think it might be possible that Robin has a better chance of losing than I have of winning. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'll take either outcome.
Right. Right. And I also noticed on Facebook that you did have an email address for the Elect Jim Silver campaign.
It's very easy to remember. electjimsilver@gmail.com.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, for people that know me and listen to my podcast and watch my video blogs and just encounter me on a daily basis, first of all, they know being a disembodied voice on YouTube or on a podcast is fine, because when my wife walks into a banquet room with 1,000 people, she doesn't look for me. She listens, and she can usually hear me even within the din of 1,000 people. But I must tell you one of my favorite Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary school stories.
What's that?
Okay. Now, you're probably going to be skeptical that this is true, but it absolutely is true. So, back in 1957, September, it's my first day at Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary School. I'm living a charmed life. I'm the firstborn of 4 boys to Italian parents and Italian mothers. I mean, they give everything for their sons. And here I am, for the first time in my life. I have to get up at a certain hour. I have to put on my uniform, the oxblood shoes with the navy blue pants, with the white shirt and the plaid tie with the oxblood, the white and the blue. Okay, so I got to get up, put on real clothes, and now my mother's going to walk me to school, and she's going to leave me there for 6 hours. And I'm figuring my life is over as I know it. It's all downhill from there. And by the way, I was right. That was the apex of my life.
Where was this? Where's the school?
This was in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary with diocesan nuns. The first American saint, Mother Cabrini.
Yeah, sure.
Mother Cabrini. So proof positive that the apex of my life was August of 1957, preceding my first day of actually having to leave the house and go to school. So she drops me off at school, and certainly when people hear this, they're somewhat appalled. They had 2 classrooms, classroom A1 and A2, or 1A and 1B, 1A and 1B, first grade. And when we were delivered to the school on the first day, they dropped 120 of us in a little holding class.
Yeah.
and Mother Bernard was in charge of the class. So me and Joey Scatino, we're eyeballing Mother Bernard. And I look at him, and he looks at me, and, we're not liking what we're observing. So Mother Bernard says, I'm going to call 60 names, and those 60 kids are going to get up, circle the perimeter of the room around the chairs in front of the lockers, and when we're done, you're going to go into Miss Florentino's class. Okay? So I ask you, just knowing what you know now, do you think you might want to stay in Mother Bernard's class, or you think you might want to go into Miss Florentino's class?
If I had to guess, maybe the second.
Miss
option.
Florentino
Yes.
would be correct.
Yes.
Miss Florentino was a nice spinster lady that lived across the street from my family. My mother was best friends with her sister, and Mother Bernard looked very imposing, and I didn't think I was going to be able to get away with anything with Mother Bernard. So 60 names are called. No Johnny Pinto, no Joey Scatino. So she says, now you can start marching out of the front door, go across the hall into Miss Florentino's class. Now, fortunately, me and Joey Scatino watched The Wizard of Oz. Do you remember the scene when the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion got into the witch's castle? They beat up the 3 soldiers. They put on their uniforms,
Yeah.
and then they just got on the back of the line and walked into the witch's castle.
Right.
Fortunately, we didn't need to beat up anybody and take their clothes, but we just looked at each other non-verbally. We knew what we were going to do. We just got on the back of that line. So not 60, 62 kids went into Miss Florentino's class. Mother Bernard was only left with 58. And for 8 years at Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary, I was looking over my shoulder, ready to get yanked into the other group of classes. You like that for proactivity by a 5.5-year-old?
5.5? Jeez. Yeah. No. It's this is my concern. This is my concern about the school district, is that they're getting to the point where they're starting to rearrange not only the schools. They're rearranging the curriculum, and they're hell bent for equity for all at all costs. And I'm not sure I 100% buy into the program that they're putting forward. And I had to run to find out. Really, I had to run to find out what's going on.
Right. So you want to get the real scoop. Yeah. Very good. So. Let's again remind people where they can find you and your website. And now, I noticed you were at the Saturday Farmers Market. Is that going to be a regular thing?
Well, I try. Again, 3 kids. There's soccer. There's softball. There's my daughter is in fencing here in Napa, and a lot of these, a lot of these things take up a great deal of time. I'll give it my best shot. I really will. But no, I think it would be best, honestly, if you really want to know where my head is on a lot of this. Take a look at the Facebook page in particular, because I put a lot of my writings there.
Elect Jim Silver on Facebook.
Silver. Yeah, and I think I think what I've been, if you look at it, it's a little more technical than what I'm saying today. A lot of more statistics and a part of my particular problem with the school district. I mean, here's a number for you. Nvusd is ranked 930th out of 1,800 schools in California. How is that okay with you or anyone else who lives in Napa Valley to be 900?
Mm-hmm.
Would you take if we were 90?
Yeah.
I'd say, well, how can we get to 50?
Right.
But 900, 930, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
And by the way, that statistic was pre-COVID. And the current administration, although they have the test scores in their hands right now, have not shown us the present day test scores of our kids. And I don't want to suggest that they're doing that because there's an election coming up. I'm saying that they know what the scores are and they're not telling us, and draw your own conclusions.
So you would like to see a little bit more transparency?
I'd like to see a lot more transparency.
Yeah.
If you look at the school board meetings, the assistant superintendent for business will put up a summary of the budget and tell you that it was a tragedy that we only had 3% in reserve, 3.6% in reserve 2 years ago, and it is a triumph. That we have more than 20% in reserve, cash reserves for the district right now. We closed 5 schools. We laid off 100 teachers. We rearranged everyone's commuting schedule because kids who used to walk to Harvest School can't walk to Harvest anymore. They have to go up to Unidos, or they have to go out to Redwood, or they have to go out to Silverado. 1,000 families are displaced by this rearranging.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was it an absolute necessity? If you listen to them, they say it was. I'm not so sure.
Mm-hmm.
Not when you have $60 million in cash in a war chest.
Right. Other opportunities could have been, or any other options could have been available.
I think that really is my point, is that, suggesting that Napa Valley is too poor to have a school in this neighborhood, a school in this neighborhood, and a school in this neighborhood is outrageous.
Right.
We are not a community so large that we need mega schools, that we need thousands of kids in a single school and thousands of kids in another school, and that's it. That's not my when I think about Napa Valley, and I think anyone who doesn't live here thinks about Napa Valley as this agricultural community, it is. They think about small schools that serve pockets of the community effectively, and there's local involvement in that school, pride in that school. And all of that's been erased. It's been erased. Mm-hmm. Not all of it. Let me temper that a little bit. Not all of it's been erased, but a huge amount of it has.
Yeah, I got you. Very good. So just to conclude our little video about elect Jim Silver for Napa Valley Unified School District Trustee, let's remind everybody where they can find you. They can find you on Elect Jim Silver at Facebook.
At Facebook, yep. Mm-hmm.
They can order a yard sign.
Yep.
They can send you an email. They can hold a neighborhood meeting.
Be glad to.
Or they can invite you to speak at their local trade association, homeowners association, et cetera, correct?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Very
good. Think, I just gave an interview to the Napa Valley Register this morning.
Oh, boy.
By phone.
Mm-hmm.
And same question that I'm going to answer for everybody. What qualifies you? Business, a certain reasonable temperament. I believe that I have a reasonable temperament for the job and a willingness to actually do it. And I'm happy to answer those questions, but the big question is, what's so bad right now? What's wrong now? Why would you replace an incumbent with somebody like me? Mm-hmm. Results, okay? It's results. And the results of the last 5 years have been so dreadful, so bad for teachers, students, parents, the community writ large. It's unfair what's happening, and my greatest concern is that we're going to keep sliding.
Right.
That's bad for everybody.
Right.
I mean, real estate. Who knows more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about real estate. When you live in a bad school district, tell me about your real estate.
Hey, I've been a realtor for 49 years, and people have been climbing over themselves to get houses in the best school districts in the areas that I have sold in, particularly Palo Alto, Cupertino,
Sure.
Saratoga, Los Gatos. So school district is everything. It makes the difference. Yeah, I mean, you could have easily a delta of double on the sales price on places with marginal schools versus places with excellent schools. So with that, I am going to encourage our audience to look for Jim Silver at Elect Jim Silver on Facebook. Email him at electjimsilver@gmail.com. See, I listen pretty good. I've been trained.
Right.
49 years. My wife has trained me to listen. She's still working on it. What parting remarks would you have for our audience before we end our video?
That for Napa Valley Unified School District parents, it doesn't have to be like this. That's my point. It doesn't have to be like this because we know it can be done in the other 929 school districts that rank higher than us. We should be like them. That's my point.
Excellent, excellent. So thank you again for tuning in, and I invite you to like, share, and subscribe my YouTube videos, and we'll see you on the next YouTube video. Bye for now.
Thanks, John.